Wow, stories.
Am I the idiot for telling my wife it's not my responsibility to make her mom feel comfortable while visiting? My wife and mother-in-law have been trying for the past few months to find a time for mother-in-law to come visit us. Mother-in-law is currently separated from her husband, my wife's stepdad, and is kind of bouncing from family member to family member helping them out. She's been house-sitting, dog-sitting, cleaning, painting, organizing, etc., in all the different places she goes. I honestly do not want that kind of help at our place. I don't think we need it. But my wife wants mother-in-law to visit so she can at least spend time with our 3-year-old son. 2 weeks ago, mother-in-law texted my wife on a Thursday to let her know she would be coming the next day. Not the most respectful or convenient thing to give 1 day's notice in my opinion, but not the end of the world. She also told my wife that she plans on spending 3 weeks with us. Again, that seems like a long visit and a bit presumptuous on mother-in-law's part. I told my wife I would appreciate a bit more advance notice, and she just kind of said this was what works for mother-in-law. I asked about the long stay, and my wife said that she has a lot of work stuff going on the next couple weeks in the evenings and on weekends, so that mother-in-law could help me out at home. I told her I don't need the help and I don't necessarily appreciate the implication that I do. She told me it will be good for mother-in-law and our son to spend some extended time together. Last week my wife did have to work in the evenings and on Saturday. I tried to keep to our son's routine as best as possible, but mother-in-law kept indulging him whenever he wanted to stay up later or play outside later than we usually do. Not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, just kind of frustrating. But my son loves playing with mother-in-law, so I didn't say or do anything about it. What I did do was pretty much ignore mother-in-law after my son went to sleep or when my wife was home. I just hung out in the basement and relaxed. I wasn't rude to her. I just didn't really initiate conversation or go out of my way to spend time with her. I guess she told my wife that I have been making her feel unwelcome and uncomfortable. My wife confronted me about this over the weekend and told me I need to be nicer to her mom and make her feel more welcome while she visits. I told her that it is not my responsibility to make mother-in-law feel comfortable in our home. I told her that I will be civil and polite and help mother-in-law if she asks, but I'm not going to go out of my way to be proactive for her. My wife said that mother-in-law is going through a hard time, and it's been hard on her going from place to place without having anywhere to call her own. I told her that's of her own choice, as she was the one who moved out on her husband, and that she has a place to call her own. She just doesn't want to go back. My wife told me to stop being a selfish jerk and to at least act like I am okay with her mom being there for a few weeks. She said it won't hurt me to not act like an AH while she's here. Not the idiot. They are supposedly there to see their grandkids. They showed up out of the blue when their kid was busy and are upset you aren't being a super inviting, unintentional host. Not sure why the mother-in-law expects such a warm welcome when just basically crashing on people for weeks at a time. Not the idiot. I would definitely be less than polite if someone gave me 1 day of notice to stay 3 weeks, then proceeded to not respect my routine with my son, and then expect me to entertain them. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. I understand she's having a hard time, but imposing like this, you'd think she'd be more respectful. Am I the idiot for telling my daughter she can't go to her dream school but paying for my son to go to his? I'm male, 49, and I have 2 children, Jake, 23, and Nikki, 17. Their mother and I are divorced. I have full custody and she sends no support. Both of my kids are good kids and good students with good grades. Jake got into his dream school but didn't get any scholarships. His undergrad school is one of the best schools in our part of the country, and it's expensive. I didn't want him to take out loans and have to carry a debt, so I'm paying for his tuition and living expenses. The total cost is roughly $50,000 a year. He's following in our family tradition and pursuing a career in dentistry. I'm not a dentist, but we have about a dozen dentists and oral surgeons in our family. I will also be paying for his dentistry degree. While I know it will be costly, I view this as a good investment as he'll have a starting salary of about $120,000 as a dentist in our area. If he decides to become an oral surgeon, his starting salary will almost double that figure. Nikki is a senior in HS. Like her brother, she's a good student and will have a good chance of getting into her dream school. but she has a low chance of getting any scholarships. Her dream school is also a very good one, located in the middle of a very expensive city. Tuition and living expenses will be roughly $75,000 a year. The problem is that she's dreamt of being a teacher since she was little, and has made it clear she will be an education major because she wants to be a middle school teacher. The other problem is that the salary for middle school teachers in our area is $48,000, $60,000 in our area. I fully realize that she can move and work elsewhere, but I can't imagine there are many middle school teachers in the US making six figures. I don't view paying $300, $000 plus for a career that tops out at $60,000 as a wise investment. I told my daughter that the state school that's 2 hours away has a good education program, and her tuition and living expenses will only be about $20,000 a year. I view paying $80,000 for a teaching degree as a much better investment. I've tried discussing the matter with Nikki, but she gets distraught every time I've brought it up. She cries and accuses me of favoring Jake and being a sexist, which is not true. I told her if she picks a major with a $100,000 starting salary, I'll gladly pay for her to go to her dream school, but there's no way I'm paying $300,000 for her to be a teacher. Now she's got family members involved. Some are staying out of it, some agree with me, and some are telling me not to play favorites. I feel terrible, so I'm beginning to doubt myself. Am I wrong? Edit to answer a recurring question. I thought I made it clear, but apparently I didn't. I'm not limiting Nikki's education to $20,000 a year. I told her that's the max I'm willing to pay for her education degree. I'm more than happy to pay $75,000 a year if she picks another degree that will have a better return. For a while, she thought about being a doctor and fell in love with England. We have family there, so I even offered to pay for her to go to Oxford, which will be double the cost of her brother's tuition. But she's adamant about being a middle school teacher, and I'm unwilling to spend $300,000 that I worked hard for on an education degree. Edit to add. Oxford is hard to get into. I know that she won't be able to just walk in. I meant for her to apply, and if she got in, I'm willing to pay the cost of that school and the expense of living in an expensive country if her degree earning potential warrants that cost. Edit to answer a recurring question, #2. Why did I bring up the family tradition? Am I an elitist? Why does it matter? I brought it up because getting into dental schools and graduating is tough. The reason why we have so many in our family is because we help each other out. The dentists and oral surgeons in the family happily tutor and give valuable internship experiences that would otherwise not be available. People who pursued the dental career in our family have never failed because we don't allow them to fail. Last semester, my brother spent weeks tutoring our niece to prepare her for her state board exam, and she passed in one try. Not the idiot. I understand where you're coming from, and I would pay for it either. It's a lot of money for just a middle school teacher when she can go to another school which will teach her the exact same thing, but for way less tuition. You're the idiot. You should feel bad. You're paying fully for the child who will make enough to easily pay off some loans with a great profession, and shitting on your daughter who is wanting to be a teacher, which is incredibly noble and needed in this country, to burden her with loans that she will take forever to repay because she will make crap. Because we treat teachers like crap. And guess what? Apparently so do you.